Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive into left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just have
Gonna have to. Brunson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Oh boy. All right, folks, let's talk about that one. Let's get right into it. Last night the Knicks lost 100-94 in Madison Square Garden to the Pistons, game 2. Again, man, you cannot let the road team still win. You let them take any of those first 2 home games for you. You 1,000% failed to do your job. So now Detroit's going home, not only with a victory, but let's be honest here, they're going home knowing that they were the better team in both games. They've played a lot better basketball in 6 of the 8 quarters that have been played so far. You know, the Knicks had their little 21-0 run at the end of game 1. And then they had their moments down the stretch in game 2 last night. But let's be honest, this Knicks team hasn't played good basketball. They've left a lot to be desired. When we discussed it last episode, we mentioned that, you know, the all the talk about the Knicks being soft and the questions on their toughness, and I said it was quieted, but I made sure to add at the end of that, at least for a night. Because I know that this team has a tendency of playing soft and being out physicaled, for lack of a better word. And that's exactly what happened last night. And now I think this series is probably going 7 if I were to re-guess. I still think the Knicks can take it. I do. I don't take Detroit that serious. I'm sorry. I don't respect them as a playoff team. But I do think they can make it tough. And I also think that they'll make it tough enough to where when the Knicks do beat this team, they're going to be totally gassed out by the time they get to Boston. But I guess I shouldn't count my whatever before they hatch. Count my chickens before they hatch. And it was a bad loss. It was a bad loss. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to complain. I won't complain at all about the cheating zebras. All right, because the Knicks and the officials have been a season-long thing. They're scumbags. I get it. I don't care about the whistle. I care about what my team did on the court. And yes, Jalen Brunson scored 37 more points, and we shouldn't take that for granted, but he didn't play well. You know, Mikal Bridges scores 18 points. Missed the 2 biggest shots in the world at the end. But I say again, are we shocked that Mikal didn't come through? The guy's a pumpkin. Good first half, though. Karl Towns. We're going to talk about him. That's probably what the theme of this episode will be about. But the Knicks lose 100-94 last night at Madison Square Garden. And now the series is tied 1-1. So, I want to talk about Towns because this has been a problem we've discussed all year. And it's been a problem so far in the series. Karl Anthony Towns is not getting enough touches. Paint touches, post touches, three-point looks, overall volume. Karl Anthony Towns has 25 shot attempts through 2 games. 2. This Knick offense is not optimized if it's just Brunson hero ball. It needs to be equal distribution, egalitarian offense for it to really click, like it was in the first half of the season. Karl Anthony Towns is your second best player, and it's not close. And he was your big acquisition entering the season, along with the other guy. He finished last night's game with 10 points, taking 11 shots, only 2 3-point attempts, didn't take a single field goal attempt in that fourth quarter. Folks, that was in a playoff game. What was the point of spending all this money, of using all these assets and draft capital, if you're just going to go back to Brunson save us? Karl Towns is not getting enough reps. And that's on the head coach. And that's on the point guard. And some of that's on him, Towns himself. And some of it, you got to credit to Detroit. It's a problem. And shit, if it's a problem that the Knicks don't figure out, they're not going to be able to maneuver around it and win the series. Karl Anthony Towns, when he's got the small on him, right, when defenses, as they've done all year long now, when they cross match, and in this instance, when they put Tobias on Towns, he has got to post him. He's got to take advantage of that and punish that matchup. It's a mismatch. I know Towns is not great at making reads on the post and passes and driving when the help's coming from the backside and they were trying to shade him baseline. But he needs to lean into more post touches because he's able to overpower middle and get to a spot in the middle of the paint there for that floater. He's been doing it when he's had moments where he's just dominated Tobias. Tobias is dinner for him. He's dinner. He's prey. And if Jalen Duren brings help, okay, now Mitch Robinson, when he's out there, is free on the offensive glass. Or Josh Hart is free on the offensive glass. And I know that Karl Anthony Towns is not really comfortable taking 3-point attempts when he's got the small or the wing on him because they're going to be uptight and not in a drop. But he's got to take advantage of his height and just fire away. There have been too many times also where Towns is off the ball and he's spacing out, but he slowly floats in and then kind of relocates inside the arc and just cuts into a clogged paint. Or he'll cut or roll off the ball screen as opposed to popping. Or if he does pop off the screen, it's kind of, a lot of the times you'll see it's like a half-hearted pick and pop where he fades into no man's land. So it's on him. Some of it's on him. But I think a lot of it is on coaching and point guard. Folks, we're 84 games into the season. And Cat has played 70-something of them. And we still don't have an answer for when they put the wing on him and the big to Josh Hart. It's a Tibbs thing. We need to start seeing counters. Play those 5-out minutes a lot more. Those alignments where you got 5 shooters on the floor. That's how you prevent a cross match. You're getting the big back to Towns that way so you can get your open pick and pop looks. But by playing Josh Hart for all but 8 minutes in the game, it's more negative than it is positive. Josh Hart can make an extremely positive impact for you if he's playing a certain amount of minutes. But when you overdo it, it becomes a net negative. He does not need to play 40 minutes all the time. And you saw time and time again in this game, as you have a lot this year, Detroit, their defense, was shrinking the entire half court by rotating over off the pick and roll, helping and pre-rotating off of Josh Hart. It completely neutralized the Brunson-Towns pick and roll. The Knicks, their series of offenses they were trying to run wasn't working. Their Boomer series, they were screwing those actions up. They were screwing their actions out of the Chin series up. Their freelance offense wasn't working good because the spacing was poor. And I know the second unit was not good last night. Shamet was a non-impact. Campaign, after his heroics in game one, was a non-impact. Deuce was kind of so-so, better but not great. But the importance of 5 guys who can space and shoot helps, because Towns is not going to be out there with Hart if you're using your bench. If you're playing a 5-out alignment, Towns isn't going to see nonstop help. He's going to get 3-point looks with the opposing big on him in a drop coverage. But you saw some crazy rotations last night. You had first quarter minutes where Campaign was on the floor without Towns, which has arguably been their, I don't know what the metrics say, but I'm sure it's up there in the best 2-man lineups of the Knicks this year. That Campaign Cat Towns lineup has to be up there. You had second quarter minutes in this game where there was no Towns or Brunson on the floor, which is absolutely criminal in a playoff game. That should never happen. There should not be 1 second where neither of those guys are on the floor. One of them always has to be on. And then when you're in those lineups where Towns is out there with another non-spacer, it's the positioning and it's the lack of or the movement. It's the positioning and the movement that's not good enough. And that's also on coaching. Use Mitchell Robinson in off-ball screening to open up Towns. Put Josh Hart on the dunker to force the defense into a tough decision, right? Either you got Cat on the post and you have Hart on the weak side dunker. They have to commit to the help on Cat, right? They got to double the post, which will leave Josh Hart open at the basket. Or they have to stay home to Hart, and now Cat is posting a small in single coverage, which he'll dominate. Or use Josh Hart to throw the entry. That's going to take the big out-of-paint help and bring him up. Use Josh Hart to cut from the weak side so you force the defense again to a commitment. It's a little bit of coaching. A lot of bit of coaching. It's a little bit of Brunson. Brunson has got to do a better job of reading those pick and pops. He needs to be quicker of finding Towns. He needs to read the floor when he's driving. You had a possession in the second quarter, and this is like a screenshot that's been going around. Brunson drives on 2 defenders, pulls a floater, completely misses it, and you've got Towns wide open on the strong elbow for a 3. He's right there. All it takes is one little pass. Wide open. Brunson, I can't even say he looks him off. I don't even think he looked at all. I guess that's what that means. But that happens way too often. It's been happening all year. Brunson, and we all love him, and we all should, he has a habit of switch hunting, going into ISO to try to get to his spot, or to foul bait. And that's all he was doing last night, was trying to get contact, and he kind of made it personal. Pretty apparent when you saw him waving Asar Thompson off the floor after the 6th foul. That's how you know right there he let it get mental for him. But yeah, the Knicks have got to find this guy more touches. And you got to credit Detroit. I thought their defense was good. They played physical. They were aggressive in their pick and roll coverage. And that took the Knicks out of their comfort zone. The Knicks had to rely on other ball handlers to create offense outside Jalen. And they don't have real good ball handlers outside of Jalen. So it's not a great way to create advantages when you're forcing the ball out of Brunson's hands. It's going to yield less spot-up looks for Towns. And Detroit was playing Brunson straight up. So he could either, he was either in an ISO to draw contact or to try and get to a short mid-range, or it was a driving kick. But he wasn't really getting deep enough into the paint on his drives, which made life easier for Detroit on their closeouts. They could rotate and help much easier. And the Knicks were just overall not doing enough movement considering the amount of bodies that were being thrown at Brunson on those drives. So I don't know what needs to happen, but I do know that it needs to happen at some point where Towns has got to get more touches. Because this is totally unacceptable. So that's the biggest takeaway that I have. Now you go to the other end of the floor, and the Knicks pick and roll defense, excellent in game one, definitely dropped off last night. And a big part of that was because JB Bickerstaff did a really good job of countering to avoid the Knicks from going into high coverage with their bigs. And that was because the Knicks were switching everything. So Bickerstaff was like, okay, well, if they're going to switch 1 to 5, or if they're going to switch their guards, let me have Cade just put Brunson and even Mikal into action all night. If OG's not just going to fight over the top and they're going to switch it all, I'll just put Brunson and Mikal into action. And that's exactly what the Detroit Pistons did. So the Knicks bigs weren't even put into pick and roll much at all. So they didn't really have a chance to double the pick and roll and force the ball out of Cade Cunningham's hands. It was constantly Brunson coming into the action, Mikal being put into action. First quarter, you had a Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris pick and roll. Tobias comes in for the guard screen. Mikal switches to Cade. Second quarter, Cade, Tim Hardaway Jr. transition pick and roll. Hardaway Jr. comes in for the guard screen. Brunson switches to Cade, but he's not high up enough, and it's an open three-point look for Cade that he makes. You had a Cade Cunningham, Beasley pick and roll. Beasley comes into screen. Mikal switches to Cade. Cade gets an empty side ISO into a reverse layup. Third quarter, a Cade Hardaway Jr. pick and roll at the top of the key. Hardaway Jr. screens Brunson into the action. Brunson allows the lane off the switch. Just concedes the lane totally right away. Just like a poor hedge. So they were attacked. Brunson and Mikal were food last night. Brunson had a couple of bad hedges throughout the night. Towns had a couple of bad contests on the back line when Cunningham passed the point of attack and Towns was there. I didn't like his efforts. Wasn't as aggressive. I thought Bridges was attacked in transition a lot too. Even OG Anunoby had issues containing the ball at the point of attack. He gave away Cade's right hand a little too often. He wasn't really shading him left or trying to ice the pick and roll enough. In Detroit also was just, they were running a lot of inverted screen actions to force OG Anunoby into recovery, which was able to free up Cade Cunningham a lot. But yeah, all night the Knicks were just getting kills on their switches. Late in the fourth quarter, you had that one possession, that the dagger, right? Where the Knicks completely blow the coverage on that Schroeder-Tobias pick and roll. It's Brunson and Hart in the action. They switched the first screen, okay, but then they were way too slow on the rescreen. Brunson doesn't really come up quick enough to switch it. Schroeder gets an open space, knocks down a dagger to put the Knicks basically out of their misery from there. So I thought the overall defense for the Knicks was not cohesive enough. It was very undisciplined. A lot of late help, non-existing help, a lot of late switches, a lot of missed switches. They weren't put into rotation as much because, again, that's only because the Knicks bigs weren't in the action as much. But yeah, the biggest issue is that the Knicks' best solution defensively is to switch when the bigs aren't in action. But OG Anunoby doesn't really have an elite switch partner in this matchup. An elite switch partner was supposed to be Mikal Bridges. He was supposed to be an elite wing defender, but he's been anything but that this year. Brunson, he's small. It is what it is. But the idea was to have this wing stop trio. And it's kind of just been OG in the second half. So that's it. I'm not going to dive too deep into this one. I think the Knicks can bounce back easily. Got to take this one on Thursday. So they have 2 days off. They have today off. They have tomorrow off. Playing on Thursday night. I don't know what time, but I'm sure it's a night game. Obviously, it's a night game. I'm sure it's I don't know if it's a 6 or a 7 or an 8. But that's game 3 coming up on Thursday. I don't know. I would love to take 2. Go home with a chance to seal it there. But take 1 at the very least. I don't care if it's the Thursday game. I don't care if it's the Sunday game. Or Saturday. I don't know when the fuck that is. I'm assuming it's Saturday. Take 1. You got. I would love to win. I would love to win. Win both. So, with that said, we're going to wrap it up here. Get to our final break. Then conclude this episode with our trivia question of the day when we return. Stay with us. We'll be right back here on episode 850 of BD4. BD4 is available on social media for those who want to follow. You can find BD4 on Instagram at BD4Pod. You can find us on X at BD4Pod. And you can find us on Facebook by simply searching BD4. Hey guys, just a quick reminder, this podcast is also available in video format on YouTube. So be sure to go over to the YouTube channel, BD4, subscribe, like the videos, comment and tell me how much I suck or maybe how much you like the video. We'd very much appreciate it. Don't have time to sit down and watch a video? You can listen to BD4 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And you can also watch the video format on Spotify too. If you feel like supporting the podcast, you can Venmo at Robert-Carbone-JR-28. We really appreciate your support. Do you enjoy Yankees baseball but are tired of hearing me yap? I have a suggestion for you. Go check out Yankee Crazy Podcast. Greg Gill is a Yankees podcaster on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and he's now selling merch. Go to yankeecrazy.myshopify.com. Stay connected with us. Visit BD4blog.com to explore our blog, tune in to our latest podcasts, and follow us on social media. Thank you for being a part of this community. Okay. Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to episode 850 of the podcast. The Knicks lose 100-94 last night at the Garden. Game 2. Series is now tied. But with that said, we're going to wrap it up here with our trivia question of the day. Okay. for this episode, our NYY, NYK, MMA trivia question of the day. Knicks episode here. So Knicks question. In order, who are the top 4 scorers in Knicks postseason history? All right. And this goes by total points. All right. In order, who are the top 4 scorers in Knicks postseason history? And again, this goes by total points. So let me know the answer. I appreciate it, folks. I always do. Hopefully the Knicks bounce back. Hopefully they do. Because if they lose Thursday night, whew, man. Tibbs might not make it out of Detroit. I'll say that. Appreciate you all. See you soon. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.